Native people, Native culture, Native knowledge. Hi, I'm Jeannie Green, bringing you award-winning Heartbeat Alaska.
Bringing you national and international Native news, this is award-winning Heartbeat Alaska, the premier Native voice in Native programming.
There's a heartbeat, louder than thunder, revolution is in the air. There's a heartbeat deep inside our mother. Are you too cool to care?
Now, with Heartbeat Alaska, here's Jeannie Green.
Hello and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska, Native News and Native Entertainment. I'm Jeannie Green.
And I'm Gary Fife.
On today's program, we travel to Kodiak, Alaska, where the Afognak Native Corporation is digging around for their history. We travel to Seward, Alaska. The Qutekcak Native Corporation has a definite presence in that beautiful southwestern Alaskan city. Also, we have news from Pewaukee, New Mexico in Eve Little. Also in rural Alaska, without help from the state financially, villagers would pay 6 times the rate that Anchoragites do for electricity. We also take a look at a segment of a documentary Gary Fife mentioned last week called The Point, Legacy of the River People. All that plus much more. But first, here's Gary with Native News across the nation. And I'll be back in just a moment.
This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife. In the biggest story of the week, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that tribal governments may not sue state governments for failing to negotiate gaming contracts. The High Court's decision came in a case filed by the Seminoles against the state of Florida. The Seminoles maintained the state was bound by a provision of the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act that authorized tribes to take such court action if states refused to negotiate the required contract between the two. The ruling is seen for a boost for the states in their efforts to regulate tribal gaming industries within their borders. Tribes in Oklahoma are banding together to take on their state legislature. At issue is a state bill that would allow Oklahoma to tax gasoline and diesel fuel sold from tribally owned businesses. Tribes say the state bill is an attempt to counter a U.S. Supreme Court decision saying the state had no authority to levy such taxes. The state maintains it should have the power to do so. The issue remains open for the next 2 months before a final vote in the Oklahoma legislature. Another Native resource has been added to the cyber world of the computer internet. A private Native advocacy group, Americans for Indian Opportunity, has launched a special new project called IndianNet. The project aims to develop a sort of intertribal network for tribes and others, giving information critical to Native development and survival. AIO President LaDonna Harris is hoping that the new computer resource base will serve Native Americans as a stopover on the information superhighway. For more information, contact the AIO offices in Washington, D.C. The 1996 Iditarod Trail sled dog race is over in Alaska, and a native musher just got squeezed out of the top 10. Eskimo and Athabascan musher Ramey Brooks of Fairbanks took the 11th spot, but he's vowing to come back again next year. But since it's very hard for native mushers to come up with the entry fees and expenses for the year, many natives, even Brooks, find it tough to compete. Local Native corporations have not backed any musher, so Brooks is going to try and get support from individual natives and others who would like to support his run to Nome. So he's organized the Cami Club as a way for individuals to join up at levels ranging from $25 to $1,000. If you're interested, Ramey Brooks lives in Fairbanks. Here's this week's conference note. Natives who live in urban areas or who are not members of a tribe with relationships with the federal government often find it difficult to have their concerns addressed. Starting April 1st, the National American Indian Council will hold its annual conference this year in Washington, D.C. They'll be meeting to address concerns and problems specifically affecting those natives. The NAIC may be reached at 919-586-4017. In Canada, the federal government has given members of an Inuit band $7.3 million in compensation for a failed relocation experiment. Over 40 years ago, the families were moved by the government from their homes in Quebec to the high Arctic and left with little resources. The government has paid up but has not apologized. For some years, problems have existed between the Navajo and Hopi tribes in Arizona, but the tribes have made up their minds to try and find a solution to at least one of them, the gathering of eagles. A report from Indian Country Today says Hopi religious clans must travel to shrines located on Navajo lands to collect young eagles for religious purposes. Leaders for the two tribes are discussing ways to work out a permit system allowing Hopis access to their sacred areas. And finally, it's been long speculated that former principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, Wilma Mankiller's health was failing her. Now comes confirmation that the popular leader turned academic has lymphoma and that she has been undergoing tests for the cancer. The Dartmouth College lecturer was admitted to a local hospital for pneumonia and kidney infection where the cancer was discovered. However, the illness has not diminished her spirits. Mankiller says she's in a good frame of mind and feels strong spiritually. And our prayers go out to her. If you have news or information about your Native group, your tribe, or an event, please share it with us. This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife, and we'll be right back with more Heartbeat Alaska after this.
She has a little garden she tends to every day. Pottery lines the bookshelf she made from earth and clay. She lives down by the Pueblo, alone miles from town. Prays faithfully to Jesus each night the sun goes down. She's from the desert where the mesas lie. Magdalena, love will blossom under turquoise skies. Magdalena, do you know your beauty's mentioned in the native songs of New Mexico? Met her on the plaza in downtown Santa Fe. When I looked into her eyes, I felt
We bring Native news to the world. Join us as we report news from a Native perspective. Heartbeat Alaska is the Native news source for America. We welcome you to be a reporter. Call us today and we'll train you. Join the team.
Hello, welcome to Heartbeat Alaska, Native news and Native entertainment. I'm Jeannie Green.
This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife.
Hello, Heartbeat Alaska from way down south, Winter Rock, Arizona.
For Heartbeat Alaska and SKC Public TV, this is Annette Brown.
For Heartbeat, I'm Eve Little in Taos, New Mexico.
there's a heartbeat, loud as thunder. There's a heartbeat coming up from deep down under.
Indian tribes across America continue to deal with rules and regulations. In New Mexico, the war is heating up. Eve Little reports.
Commuters in northern New Mexico towns have seen just how serious Pewaukee tribe is about installing toll booths between state and tribal roads. Traffic came to a complete crawl here this week as Pewaukee Governor Jacob Vadiel and his staff distributed leaflets to about 30,000 commuters. The leaflets urged the public to call on their legislatures to take immediate action on the Indian Gaming Compact here in New Mexico. Vadiel says the leaflet campaign is set to coincide with the special four-day New Mexico State legislative session going on this week. Vadiel blames New Mexico politics and the state lawmakers for not approving state Indian gaming compacts, although such agreement was made between 14 tribes and State Governor Gary Johnson last year. However, months following that agreement, the state Supreme Court invalidated the gaming compact, saying the governor, without the consent of the legislatures, could not approve Indian casino gaming.
We lost our culture, traditions, religious.
The Indians turned around and sued. The case is now awaiting federal court ruling. Meanwhile, as federal officials and politicians throw the ball back and forth, Veriel says he's losing hope.
I agree that, yeah, a lot of people are going to get upset because of the inconvenience that we caused. However, in the big picture, I think that it's going to do a lot more good. I think that the legislators are upset, but I think once everything is cooled down, tomorrow, 2 or 3 days from now, a few months from now, I think that they are going to look at it and say, you know, that this is a potential. They think we're kidding. We're not. I mean, we're here fighting for the survival of our people.
For months now, he's been public about putting toll booths on his Pewaukee reservation, which sits in the middle of a state freeway that connects major towns like Santa Fe and the Los Alamos National Laboratory. The toll booth would charge $1 per car, more for larger vehicles. And because U.S. Attorney John Kelly is traveling out of state this week, we do not know if any agreements were indeed violated, and if so, to what extent. In Pewaukee, New Mexico, I'm Eve Little for Heartbeat, Alaska.
Thank you, Eve. We travel now to Kodiak, Alaska, an island in Alaska with an incredibly rich history, and the natives there are digging up their past for college credit.
Famous for its rugged beauty and abundant wildlife, the islands of Kodiak and Afognak hold a special place in the world's imagination. We imagine a land of pristine wilderness, unknown and unseen by man, where life responds to the seasons and to the ebb and flow of the tides today, as it always has. It is a land shrouded in mystery.
A mystery that dates back over 7,000 years. The Dig Afognak project is part of a long-term research effort aimed at reconstructing the prehistoric lifeways of the Alutiiq people.
What we read in the historical textbooks is often biased, fragmented, gives us an incomplete view of what happened in the past.
The past is sometimes clouded with struggle. This struggle comes after over 250 years of cultural impact. The Kodiak Island archipelago was one of the first points chosen by the Russian Fur Company for exploitation. Their coming in the 1700s saw the quick destruction of a highly evolved culture which possessed a clan system, beautiful artwork, and a population estimated to be over 20,000 individuals, making it the highest population density in the Eskimo world. Epidemics of disease, hitherto unknown among our native people, decimated entire villages. Elders, who are vital tradition bearers in a culture without the written word, were among the first to die. Family trees, epic stories, songs, and specialized knowledge held by the Alutiiq elders accumulated through thousands of years were lost. The beautiful artwork of the Alutiiq culture was taken back to Russia and Europe. Their culture was and is unique among northern maritime cultures and is a part of a greater cultural continuum of Eskimo Aleut people that stretches from southern Alaska across the Canadian Arctic and along the coasts of Greenland. Today, work is beginning to recover their lost ancestral knowledge. Dig Afognak is part of a community-wide effort to regain, restore, and carry forward the light of their culture. Archaeological research in the Kodiak archipelago began in earnest following the Exxon Valdez oil spill in 1989. With the cleanup of Alaskan shorelines following this disaster, it was discovered that many archaeological sites are being disturbed and valuable information lost.
It's exciting because there's something always to be coming up, so it makes the digging very interesting. From walking out, doing the survey, then putting in the test pit, to actually finding things. Compared to archaeology in other places in the world, this is extremely rich and very wonderful setting to be in. I mean, just take a look around you.
The Afognak Native Corporation controls the project, with archaeologists working side by side with the native landowner, promoting sensitive handling of culturally significant material. The artifacts and information recovered will be housed and curated in the newly built Aleutic Center and Museum in Kodiak. And to make the research circle complete, the Afognak Native Corporation has decided to take the step of inviting the interested public to join the dig. College credit may be available for these sessions beginning in June and continuing through the month of August. Thank you, Mary Patterson from Kodiak, Alaska, from the Afognak Native Corporation for your help on that story. Last week, I mentioned if you're in a state that we haven't said hello to, give me a call, and so people did call. I heard from Texas and Alabama, from Georgia and Mississippi, Florida, from all over. A lot of people didn't know that Heartbeat Alaska is available on the Outdoor Channel, and all they have to do is find where that channel is in your state and sign up, please. That way you can get Heartbeat Alaska. Also, on the tribes across America, if you're watching Heartbeat Alaska and you know of some people that are not able to get the show, please call me collect, area code 907-563-7440. I will do everything I can to make Heartbeat Alaska available to your people. And speaking of people, in rural Alaska, life is sometimes tough. For sure, it's pretty expensive. Most rural Alaskans hunt and fish and gather berries and greens to supplement staples from the local grocery store, because prices there can be pretty steep. They often chop wood to supplement electricity. People in rural Alaska have learned to be resourceful. They've got to be. In urban areas like Anchorage, Alaska, the average income per capita is $19,620. In rural Alaska, it's $6,235. Electricity in the bush is often made possible by a diesel generator. The Alaska Village Electric Cooperative seeks state financial assistance as well as federal grants to offset electrical costs, a significant factor for villagers. Without financial assistance, electricity could cost 6 times the amount as one would pay in Anchorage. Now the PCE program, or Power Cost Equalization, is in jeopardy. It appears that the state legislature will reduce the program by 20% beginning July of this year. The effect could be devastating. Electricity is a vital element of virtually every system in the bush, including schools, water and sewer, and communication. A few years ago, the state's financial assistance was cut 20%. Further cuts to the state's financial assistance could mean potential chaos for some villages. As America heads into the 21st century, some residents of rural Alaska are still living in third world conditions. They continue to fight to raise their standard of living, to create jobs where there are none, jobs to pay the bills, like electric bill, $400 a month. Now, get your camcorder out. Share your stories with the rest of Heartbeat Alaska viewers. It's really very easy to do, just like this group did in Seward, Alaska, another beautiful city. The Qutekcak Native Corporation is a tribe there. It's not a big one, but they've got a large part of that city's history. For thousands of years, they walked the shores. Native people, camping, hunting, fishing, making fish hooks, carving dolls, raising families. They walked the Qutekcak, the big beach. Today, others walk the shores along Resurrection Bay. the shores of what is now known as Seward, Alaska.
I think we have two candidates that are running for the board.
Today, the Qutekcak Native Tribe has 180 enrolled members, but they serve around 550 Native people in the Seward area. It's a unique tribe with members from all over, even some from outside in the lower 48. The oldest member of the tribe is Annie Hatch. On May 15th, she'll be 97 years old. She was born in 1899, and she's lived in Seward most of her life. She remembers those times.
Well, we moved from Unalaska in 1925.
Annie Hatch moved into the Jesse Lee home, a home originally established in Unalaska by Methodist Church Women of the United States in 1896. It was established as a home for orphaned Alaskan children. In 1926, the home was moved to Seward, Alaska. Life in the orphanage was pretty tough, but for the most part, Annie has pleasant memories, except for a few minor inconveniences.
We were little. In order to get to school, they had the bigger boys put us in a gunny sack and take us to school to see the wind blew to the sea.
Beside the occasional gunny sack ride, there was also the small problem of the orphanage menu.
Beans.
Beans and potatoes?
Nope, just beans. We had baked beans on Sunday. We had what was left on Monday night. We had baked beans on Thursday. What was left then on Friday night we had baked beans. Saturday we had bean soup. Then Sunday we had beans again.
Do you eat beans anymore?
I don't like beans.
Annie was moved into the Jesse Lee Home Orphanage when she was 3 years old. She was the first child of Augustinia Yachmanoff and Charlie Swanson. In 1917, she married Peter Hatch, and together they had 5 children: Florence, Helen, Ralph, Julia, and Jesse Lee, named after the Jesse Lee home. Life in Seward, Alaska was far different from her original home at Unalaska. Her memories are precious, not only to her, but to everyone around her. She was one of Seward's first residents, a time when the population was around 300 people. Qutekcak, the big beach, home to natives long ago, and home to natives today, natives that are thriving in this melting pot community. As for Annie, she's thriving too. And at 97 years old, who can ask for more?
Happy birthday, baby, oh, I love you so. 16 candles make a lovely light, but not as bright as your eyes tonight.
We bring Native news to the world. Join us as we report news from a Native perspective. Heartbeat Alaska is the Native news source for America. We welcome you to be a reporter. Call us today and we'll train you. Join the team.
Hello, welcome to Heartbeat Alaska, Native news and Native entertainment. I'm Jeannie Green.
This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife.
Hello, Heartbeat Alaska from way down south, Window Rock, Arizona.
For Heartbeat Alaska and SKC Public TV, this is Annette Brown.
For Heartbeat, I'm Eve Little in Taos, New Mexico.
There's a heartbeat, loud as thunder. There's a heartbeat coming up from deep down under.
We're on the Outdoor Channel. Heartbeat Alaska is now reaching 31 states and 28,000 RV and recreational sites in the lower 48. Advertise your rural business with us. The tourists are coming. We'll lead them to your door. Call today, 907-563-7440. Heartbeat Alaska, bringing Alaska to the world and the world to Alaska.
Looking for adventure? Want to get away? Let's go fishing. Unalakleet River Lodge welcomes you to their rustic Alaskan setting right on the Unalakleet River. Call now for reservations. Experience the real Alaska. Great food, great getaway, great fishing. Call toll-free 1-888-450-3474. Great places and great times at the Unalakleet River Lodge.
Thank you so much once again for inviting us into your home. My name's Jeannie Green. I'm Inupiat, which is Northern Eskimo. I want to learn about you and your tribe. Give me a call here at Heartbeat Alaska. I'd like to get your video. Also, I'm looking for reporters in the lower 48. Call me, won't you please? Area code 907-563-7440. We are Native News from a Native perspective, but we have viewers of all colors, and we are thankful for every one of them. God bless. Have a wonderful week. I'm Jeannie Green. For all of us here, have a fabulous week. We'll see you again then.
She has a little garden she tends to every day. Pottery lines the bookshelf she made from earth and clay. She lives down by the Pueblo, alone miles from town. Prays faithfully to Jesus each night the sun goes down. She's from the desert where the mesas lie. Magdalena, love will blossom under turquoise skies. Magdalena, do you know your beauty's mentioned in the native songs of New Mexico? I met her on the plaza in downtown Santa Fe. When I looked into her eyes, I fell in love that day. Magdalena, you don't know me, but just you wait to see. You're from a reservation that makes you just like me. She's from the desert.